everybody, and welcome to Mornings with the Outlaw. Hello, everybody. How's it going? I've had a hell of a day, or a hell of a night, rather. So I am running on all adrenaline this morning. Just dropped a bunch of iced tea into my body, so hopefully that'll get me through the show. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, and welcome to another episode of Mornings with the Outlaw. Joined, as always, by my co-host right over there, Alex Shashek. How are you, Alex?
I am spiffy. I'm absolutely spiffy. I'm excited for your big news coming up. So get excited. Oh, yeah. I love me some surprises. I love me some news.
Some news. Yeah. All right. Well, letting you all know we've got a lot to talk about today, but of course, remember the Streamlabs and SuperChats. We got those up. We got so much to cover. Want to hear what you think. Want to hear your thoughts. Want to hear your point of views. Want to hear all of the stuff happening in on your end and what you think about everything that we're covering. So please send in those Streamlabs. Send in those SuperChats. I think we already have one from Ben Rayner, which we'll get to after the first topic that we're discussing. But Alex, how was your night? How was your night? Was it better than mine? I feel like it might have been better than
mine. Let's see. I went to bed around 4:35 this morning.
Oh, okay.
I took some melatonin, so that helped. Nice. Everything's been pretty good so far. I'm pretty excited. Today I have a big day planned. I have a whole bunch of stuff I'm trying to get done around the house. So trying to check mark some boxes for sure.
Yeah, speaking of boxes, it is 100% official. We are making the move to down there in San Diego. We got everything squared away. The movers have been booked. The money has been exchanged with hands. I'll be getting the keys on the 1st, and that's the situation, moving into a lovely 2-bedroom house that we're very excited about, and with a huge backyard. So I'm going to be doing some more things from not just inside the house or inside the studio. I'll have a bigger studio to work with, but also outside, trying to see if I can find some new and interesting ways to bring content onto the channel. So I'm excited about that, heading down to San Diego. So if you live in San Diego or you're around that area, might be fun to do a little outlaw hangout once we're all allowed to hang out with each other and do our thing. So just letting you all know that's the situation there. That's kind of what's happening in my world. And let's get into things.
For you.
Thank you. We're pretty happy as well. So I know she's looking forward to kind of constructing the next phase of her photography business, and so we're excited to put that together for ourselves and have a little fun with it and try out a new city, which we're looking forward to as well. I'll come up for schmodowns and then come right back down. I think that's the best way to do things anyway. So all right, so we got so much to get to today. Look, I got a weird angle going on. I got so much you can see now. You can totally see my stuff around on my bookshelves, which is going to be taken down soon. I'll probably be packing some of this stuff this afternoon. I've got a little bit of time, so we shall see. Anyway, let's jump into things. Alex, our first topic today, I don't have many pictures, so let's just get into it, and that's Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy, a lot of rumors coming out now from a couple of reliable sources that are saying that Tom Hardy is being lined up as the next James Bond, that he essentially auditioned for it in June. And if it wasn't for the COVID situation, they would have already announced him as James Bond in November. But because of pushing No Time to Die to November, now probably pushing it to even farther out, that Tom Hardy's, the announcement is not going to come until sometime next year. He had some quotes about it. I think he said, when he was asked about the Bond rumors, when he was speaking to the Daily Beast, he said, if I mention it, it's gone. There's a saying amongst us in the fraternity of acting and in the fellowship of my peer group that if you talk about it, you're automatically out of the race. So I can't possibly comment on that one. He is currently 43 years old, which makes him a little bit older than most of the new Bonds that come in, except for Roger Moore, who turned 45 in the first year of his first Bond film. Of course, Daniel Craig's 53, and his last film, as I mentioned, No Time to Die, will be coming so far in November. We shall see if it actually comes out in November or gets pushed. But this is it's coming from the Vulcan Reporter. So you tell me, Alex, A, do you like the idea of Tom Hardy as James Bond? And B, do you trust that this is actually happening? And C, do you believe that he auditioned for it, that they made him audition for it?
I'm sure he auditioned. I don't believe anything else, to be completely honest. To be completely honest, for several reasons. James Bond is one of the most iconic characters, good, bad, or whatever it might be, any genre specific, in film overall. You could be from some remote itty-bitty village where you see 2 movies a year. Chances are you know who James Bond is.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. But also, I do think that personally, I always like James Bond to be taken over by an actor that's a little bit maybe has more of an indie background or that we're not familiar with, honestly, because if I see Tom Hardy on screen, I'm going to think to myself, that's a beautiful Tom Hardy. That's a beautiful piece of tuchus right there. Oh. But I'm not going to think to myself, that's James Bond. That's Tom Hardy. That's Bane. That's Bird, with his plans for the universe. And so overall, I would not prefer this. I would prefer someone like Sam Heughan or maybe an actor of color to take over. Maybe Henry Golding. I think he should have been in the conversation as well. Sure. I would love to see an Asian James Bond. I mean, come on, why not? Right. But also, he's an older James Bond. Now, obviously, 43 is not old, obviously. It's just, that means maybe 2 James Bond movies, if we're lucky.
Yeah. I mean,
he would be one of the oldest people to take on James Bond at that age. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing is interesting, too, Alex. I think you make an excellent point because most of the Bonds that have come before were not that well known before they got the Bond. Even Sean Connery, I know he's an international superstar now, but in 1962 he wasn't. Right, exactly. So that was a bit of a kind of a pattern that they established. George Lazenby, people didn't really know him that well. Roger Moore. Timothy Dalton was certainly known to a degree because he had played the villain in Flash and a couple of things, but he certainly wasn't a super famous guy. Not even Pierce Brosnan, because he had no record of doing well in films in the theater. He certainly was a TV star with Remington Steele, but had not really been a big film star himself. So this would be a big A-lister taking on this role. But I ask you this, because you just mentioned this. Well, when you watched him in Mad Max, did you think he was Mad Max or did you think he was Tom Hardy?
I look at that movie and I'm like, that's not even his movie. That's Charlize Theron's movie, to be honest.
Agreed.
I mean, let's be honest. Yep. There's a reason why her face is the biggest on the poster. Okay. But overall, I see him as Mad Max and I think that's Tom Hardy. I don't care how dirty you make him. It's just like Charlize Theron, or hypothetically, if they were to make a woman James Bond, how awesome would that be? But I would be like, if Charlize Theron took over, the role of James Bond or Jamie Bond or whatever they wanted to do, I would be like, that's Charlize Theron. Yeah, it's almost distracting.
So does this feel like the Lashana Lynch thing has already been revealed as kind of a red herring, that she isn't the James Bond that's going to take over from Daniel Craig? We've seen so many, so many movements recently with a lot of media towards more people of color, towards including people of color. I mean, it was all over the Emmy Awards acceptance speeches the other night. This proud foot forward and acceptance of people of color grabbing the spotlight even stronger than ever before. So setting up Lashana Lynch to essentially be a red herring in the movie, having this leak out, I'm sure the producers aren't happy about this if it's actually true. I already see a bunch of sites trying to poo-poo it, trying to say, well, the studio would have jumped out on this ahead of time. The producers would have jumped out of this ahead of time. But maybe they're not doing that yet because they wanted the surprise or the twists and turns of No Time to Die to play out so that Lashana Lynch could have maybe in your mind been the possible Bond replacement, but then you see that she doesn't want to do it or whatever they set up in the movie, and then Tom Hardy is announced quickly afterwards. So maybe this is an issue where maybe they change their minds on this, and maybe they do announce Lashana Lynch as the new James Bond. I wonder.
I do think that when it comes to, if they're going to make the first female James Bond, awesome. Yeah. I love it. Bring it to me. Yeah. I do think they're going to wait to see how audiences react to her character first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hypothetically, she looks amazing in the trailer. I can't wait. I loved her in Captain Marvel. Awesome. Yeah. But she's also very much an unknown actress, which I her in a role like like James Bond, like I said. But I do think, as similar to another story I'm coming on pretty soon, that they're waiting to see how audiences like her at all before making the big jump and being like, hey, let's sign you on for 5 movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, Tom Hardy doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would necessarily sign on for 5 films to play this iconic character. Now, he is British, he is London born, so maybe there's a very special connection to Bond that he has as a British actor, as a British person of British heritage. And certainly he speaks about it in that quote, like, if you speak about it, then it's gone. So certainly that means it matters to him whether he gets it or not, or at least it's somewhat of importance to him to even be in contention for it. I mean, you can't discount that, but then the fact is that Tom's not really the kind of guy you think about when you think about 5 movies with one guy. He's very much a nomadic actor. He's driven by these independent movie impulses that he has. So will he be able to do these other things? We saw Daniel Craig towards the tail end of his run as James Bond, popping into things like Logan Lucky and Knives Out. But would we see Tom Hardy have the space to do these other roles while also meeting the demands of James Bond? I wonder.
It's a big task to take on, the role of James Bond, internationally speaking. It's like it's almost taking on like an MCU role, honestly, or maybe even a little bit bigger, because at least with the MCU movie, it's more of a ensemble situation. Let's be honest. Versus James Bond, it's all you.
Right.
You're a front and center for every single scene. So they got to be confident in you as an actor, which I would be confident in Tom Hardy. He's a tremendous actor. I love him. As an actor. I've never seen him in a movie where I was like, he could have done better. Including that trash movie Legend. But, it's you tried so hard, and I appreciate that. I really do. But the thing is, when it comes to movies like this, the thing is, like I said, these actors sign on to do multiple films, and it's like a whole thing. It's a huge production where the movie takes like 7 months to film. So it's a whole thing. And so knowing that, I'm sure he auditioned. I'm sure he was in the conversation. Maybe he's still technically in the conversation. I don't know. But realistically, so if you're being involved in a movie like this, you're in it for a long time, and I don't think that's something the people behind James Bond are comfortable doing. Also, that if Tom Hardy were to do it, I'm sure that they would want to. One of the big incentives for someone to be involved with Tom Hardy is that maybe they're going to go the much more darker, dramatic, route. Like in this one, be a little edgier with a lot of its, action and drama. Because Cary Fukunaga, obviously, he's not exactly like J.J. Abrams, obviously. He is an indie well-known, established director. And so if they do want to take in that direction, Tom Hardy might be the best way to go. He might be a sure thing.
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you say the 7 months preparation, obviously, because he's got to do the training. He's got to do all this. He's got to do work out the stunt situation. You got to do all that fighting stuff. That takes a lot of time, especially at 43. Let me tell you, 43 ain't 33, bro. And it does take a toll on your body. And even Daniel Craig, when he was speaking about Spectre, he said it was like crawling through broken glass to do that movie. Now, it may have been because the end result he wasn't happy with, but it also might have been the amount of time and effort and toll it took on his body. So this is not a light job you're taking on. This is a lot required of you. And then if you have, like you were saying, and like I mentioned earlier, the independent impulses, those things can override whatever else you want to do, because the time commitment is going to be very, very strong here. So will Tom be satisfied by playing Bond? That's another thing. I get that everyone's like, is it real? Is it not real? Once you move past that, you have to go into the next level of that conversation, which is, would he even be happy doing it? Would he be satisfied creatively playing James Bond? It might be fun to do for a movie, but if you're penning for 3 to 5 movies, that's a whole nother situation. When I interviewed James Norton a few weeks ago for a new movie he had out at the time, Mr. Jones, he was one of the guys that they were looking at. There's a lot of rumors that he had been possibly looked at because he was, he wasn't that well known, but he'd done great stuff in smaller pieces, kind of the usual route for other James Bonds. Independent guy, does a lot of independent films, independent TV shows, but he was building up a resume as a strong actor. and would have slid into the role. Who's, I think, in his mid-30s, so it would have been the perfect time. But I asked him, I said, would you, let's move beyond this idea of whether you would be Bond or not. Would you want to be Bond because of the commitment that you would have to be under, especially given the nomadic situation of most independent actors, film actors? And he said, yeah, it's a good question. I actually haven't even thought about whether it would be something that I would want to commit to, because it's the idea of you are really tied to this system for 5 to 7 to 8 years, depending on how long these movies take to come out. So might be a lot, Alex.
Yeah. There's a reason why Chris Evans was very vocally so. He was so mega hesitant to take on the role of Captain America until Robert Downey Jr. He was like, hey, bruh, come hang out. We'll make it a good time, we promise. He was very hesitant to take on the role of Captain America, and obviously, and before he took on that role, he was more known as an independent actor. He was playing around with the idea of producing, of screenwriting. In the meantime, because of the success of Captain America, he was able to create his own production company. And so there are a lot of pros. So obviously, financially speaking, it really clears you up. To take on some, really kind of pick your projects in the future. You can really afford to be nitpicky and prioritize some projects more than others, or maybe think to yourself, maybe I want to be involved more behind the screen, so maybe that's the route he wants to take, and be like, hey, if I can just knock out a handful of really big budget movies for the next few years, potentially, meaning I could potentially try my hand at directing in the future or producing or whatever may be, that might be a big decision he would have to make.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll keep tabs on it for sure, Alex, as it goes along, because it's a big story, and we'll see if he actually does get named down the road. I have a feeling they're not going to say a word until No Time to Die comes out and leaves the box office, if it ever comes out in the theaters sometime this year. It's supposed to be still November, but they haven't pushed it yet. So for right now, it is that lone big blockbuster sitting there waiting to come out. And I wonder in the end if it will come out at all. And we'll get our answers of Lashana Lynch's role and what the producers are going to say afterwards about who's going to take over James Bond. Because we know this franchise is not going down. That's for sure. So
you know who I think low-key might actually end up taking it?
Who's
honestly, that? It's not going to happen. But like, what if Robert Pattinson just slid into this role like how he did with Batman, where he was like, he auditioned for Batman while he was making Tenet. Apparently he called in sick one day to Nolan, and he's like, no, hey, Christopher Nolan, I'm sick. And he flew off to audition for Batman. Right. And what if he was filming Batman and he's like, hey, Matt Reeves, I'm sick. James Bond.
I think Matt Reeves would have park people outside of his hotel room to make sure. Right. Where are you going? Where are you going, man?
That'd be hilarious. It's not gonna happen, obviously, and I don't want it to happen. I just think it would be, considering all the backlash we've had already.
I don't disagree.
I think it would be hilarious.
I think the reason it took Batman is because he knew he was out of the running for James Bond. I mean, because I think if you're in the running for James Bond, you don't take another big franchise. So maybe he got it kind of said to him or relayed to him that they were not looking at him. So he took the Batman role, or he wanted the Batman role more than Bond. I don't know, but I would want
Batman more than Bond.
I mean, I see what I'm saying. That's in contention for either is a good thing to be at in your career, that's for sure. All right, let's take a look at some of these Streamlabs that have been sent through. I haven't seen any super chats, so I'll just go to the Streamlabs. So please keep sending them in. Really appreciate all the love you're sending us already this morning. Thank you so much. And thank you to Anna McCoy and Ryan Rabideau and Victor Borges, who signed up and subscribed to the Outlaw Nation channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe down below and hit that bell so you get the notifications when we do a new video here on the Outlaw Nation channel. And there'll be more content coming. You guys know I stepped down from backstage. Later on today, starts a new era there with Rachel Cushing stepping in, but it's because I wanted more time to kind of shoot videos and produce videos to put on the channel, more content, shorter form content for y'all to consume through your day. You might like it, you might be interested, and you might not, but either way, I want to take the channel in new directions and try new things for the channel as well. So please subscribe below and you'll get to access to all of that. All right, Ben _ Rayner donated. Thank you, Ben. Very kind of you. He said, good morning, Rocha and Alex. Hope you both had a good weekend. Here's a question for you for this morning. If you could erase one movie or show from your mind so you could have that first time experience watching it again, what would it be? Alex, if you could erase one film from your mind, and then so you could watch it all over again from scratch.
That's a great question. And I'm gonna let you go first so I can think on it.
You're gonna let me go first. My answer is always The Matrix, so I'll choose something else.
That's a great pick.
I think probably the first time I saw Apocalypse Now, because that's a film that I thoroughly love. It's in my top 10 of films ever made, but it's a film that I constantly go back to because of the voiceover and the progression of Martin Sheen's character in the movie, and also what happens with Marlon Brando, seeing him play that role. For my money, the last time he was authentically great in a movie, and then just experiencing it over again and seeing all the different twists and turns and what happens to everybody, and what happens to Larry Fishburne, what happens to the Saucier guy, what happened with when they confront Dennis Hopper, then the visuals of the entire movie as well, and the score that's so haunting throughout the movie. So I think Apocalypse Now would probably be my choice. What about you?
That's I've never seen it, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Cinema Bites coming in. I would have to say, so I'm tied between two movies.
Okay.
One would be Mary Poppins, Disney's Mary Poppins live action with Julia Andrews.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's one of my top 10 personal favorite movies of all time. I love that movie.
Okay.
That and Fifth Element.
Ooh, Fifth Element.
I love that movie so much.
Wow.
Like so much. I love that movie. It's so weird and campy, and it's an action adventure set in space, and I don't like Luc Besson, whatever. Right. But that movie, oh my gosh, I love that movie.
All right, that's a great choice.
It's weird. I love it.
No, I love that choice. It's a great choice. With Mila Jovovich, Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, all
Chris
of them.
Rock.
Yeah, Chris Rock. Oh no, Chris Tucker. Right.
Oh, Chris Tucker. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Chris Tucker. Oh my gosh. He is so perfect in that role. He's fantastic. Oh my gosh. I remember my brother dressing up for him as Halloween and like doing the whole like weird walk. Somebody like doing the whole weird thing with the big staff.
Right on. Well, Ben, I see you in the chat. What's your choice? What's the one you would do? And if you guys want to send in some Streamlabs and Super Chats telling us what film you would love to see again, erase from your mind and see it again. Ironically, some of you might even choose Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is about erasing your memory of a situation so you don't repeat the same mistakes. Very interesting. Could be that too. Lewis Cox says Alex Shashek as Batwoman, John Rocha as Batman. All right, sure. I have to be the older Batman.
I do think Batwoman should be, considering she is a woman of the LGBT community. I am a very straight woman, to be completely honest, so that wouldn't apply to me. But I would love to be, I don't know, like someone in the background, like helping along. That'd be pretty cool.
Like Oracle. You could be the Oracle Barbara Gordon. Is that what you're saying? Sure.
Or what was it? What was that? I can't remember her name, but she was like the girl Robin. She was like the only girl Robin. Jenna Malone was like the secret cast of her, like back in the day. I can't remember her name. Yeah, she was like on Karen. Oh my gosh, because I remember because I remember I loved that there was the graphic novels where she's involved and she has like a weird background and everything, but she's also like a gymnast and she does like a whole bunch of stuff. But she has a weird relationship with Batman as well.
It's like a dad, like a dad.
Yeah, I know, but she also like hugs him when he's naked. So it's just like, girl, what you doing? What you doing?
All right, fair.
Like, I'm close to my dad, but under no circumstances would I ever hug my dad naked. Like, no.
Carrie Kelly, that's her name in Batman.
Yes, oh my gosh, I loved her. I loved her character. I thought she was so cool when I first read her.
Let's see. All right, so let's move on to our next one. This is from Jay Scotty for real. Oh, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that, man. It's very kind of you. Morning from the Attic. I started a rewatch of the Daniel Craig 007 films and found Quantum of Solace to be significantly better than I recalled. Forgot Gemma Arterton shows up as Agent Fields too. Why hasn't she been cast in any major franchises since? This is a great question you ask, Jay Scotty, because I'm a massive fan of Gemma Arterton for a couple of reasons. One, she's incredibly beautiful to look at, but also very, very strong actress, and seen her in a number of things. But you're right, she hasn't really hit anything that's massive. She was in that terrible Prince of Persia Sands of Time film with Jake Gyllenhaal. She had a small role in Rock and Rolla when she was still building up her cred. She was in Clash of the Titans as Io. Let's see what else. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters as Gretel. So I think there's a sequel to that one coming, if I'm not incorrect. She did that one with Jeremy Renner. So they have tried to put her in stuff that would have got her some attention here. What's the one I saw a few years ago? Their Finest, which is a fantastic World War II British film directed by Lone Scherfig. She's in this with Sam Claflin and Bill Nighy. I think she has a brother or a friend who is at Dunkirk when everything happens at Dunkirk, and she is working on in a production studio trying to set up these positive films about the war. She does a great job in that as well. She's got one coming up real soon, the TV series, The Black Narcissus TV series. She's going to be featured in that very prominently as well. So she is more of a smaller independent film actress, more of a smaller act. She's done her forays into bigger films, but they haven't really worked out for her. So I don't think it's a matter of talent. It might just be that she's not someone that they look at necessarily right off the bat. Have you heard of her, Alex? Have you watched her work at all?
Have I heard of Strawberry Fields? Are you kidding me? Of course I heard of Gemma Arterton.
Nice.
Good Lord. Anyway, but she's also painted in gold in Quantum of Solace.
She is.
But she is a really great underrated actress. I've seen her in a whole bunch of movies and miniseries as well. She does quite a few. I am a sucker for like period romances and period dramas, that kind of thing. And she's done quite a few of them. Yes. And so I love seeing her in those roles. I just love seeing her in anything. But I wonder if it's something more, maybe she's just one of those actors where she doesn't like to be more involved on the bigger action or franchises or anything like that, because I remember reading that she was offered some really, really big franchise roles way back in the day, and she ended up turning them down in order to pursue much more auteur based projects or participate in theater, because someone told me that she was a really, really big performer in theater in London theater in particular. Yeah,
she does work a lot in the theater for sure, and she is going to be in The King's Man, which is the prequel to the Kingsman series that is coming out early next year in February with Ralph Fiennes. We've already gotten like 4 trailers for that film, but it keeps getting pushed because of COVID. So maybe that's her next foray into a big picture or big franchise situation. See how she does in that. But yeah, great question, Scotty, because I'm a big fan of hers. And like that she and wish she got more interest. Yeah, there's the rumors are that there's a Hansel and Gretel sequel coming, or Hansel and Gretel rather. And I don't know if it already happened and they just didn't cast her and Renner in the role again. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Like, that movie is not good, but it's campy and weird, and it's very difficult to get a hold of. It really is. Like, you can't just find that one on IMDb TV or Netflix. You have to actively search for it. But it actually does pretty well at midnight release, like cult viewings kind of thing, from what I've been told. So, and it's just weird, and there's what's her name, Famke Jensen from the place. Can't remember her name, but it's just weird, and it's a fun time. Just saying. If you have never seen it, if you haven't had the chance to see it, it's just so weird.
Yeah,
go check it out. Go check it out.
Absolutely. All right, we got let's see, Philippe Hunt. Thank you, Philippe. Good to see you. He said, "Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. I think Tom Hardy is too old to play Bond. Wow. Also, he's not got the upper class appearance of what Bond is. I love him as an actor. I hope they cast an experienced actor that hasn't hit the stratosphere yet. Love ya." All right, so let's address Philippe Hunt's comments here, and I appreciate you sending in some support for us here at the Outlaw Nation, Philippe. But Alex, what's your reaction to this? Tom Hardy's too old, and he doesn't have that upper class appearance of what Bond usually is. Do you agree?
Let me tell you, sir. Okay, let me tell you, he doesn't have an upper class appearance. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? I'm so sorry. He doesn't have an upper class. For a long. Okay, Christian Bale wasn't supposed to have an upper class appearance, until he did, Dark Knight and Batman Begins or anything. But he took on those. There was a lot of hesitance on whether or not he could take on those roles. Similarly, so because he didn't have an upper class appearance, but he did actually do like American Psycho, where he's like in a suit the entire time. So anyway, it's very doable, but. Let's just reaffirm just how gorgeous that man is. Okay. I just want to put that on the table. I don't think I said that enough earlier, but I do agree on the age. The age is very, very concerning. Yeah. The man has like a 10-year-old kid. He's hanging out with his beautiful pooch. I mean,
his pooch.
Oh my gosh, like he takes his dog to premieres.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. He like carries it with him in his like jacket.
Yeah.
It's the cutest thing ever. If you haven't had the chance to see those videos or pictures of Tom Hardy carrying his pooch around, this big, beautiful little pit mix, do yourself a favor. Check it out and Google it. Okay.
I love it. Here's what I would say to you, Philippe. I totally understand where you're coming from. Might be too old, sure. Doesn't have the upper class appearance, but I will tell you this. He was born in London. He was born to I think some upper middle class family. And so I said this yesterday on SEN. We talked about it briefly. If you go and listen to him do the voiceover for this new series on Amazon Prime that covers Tottenham Hotspur, which is a football club in the English Premier League, a soccer club, if you will, you will hear the posh accent of Tom Hardy. The actual voice of Tom Hardy is much more posh than you've heard him display in other films, like Legend, like Rock and Rolla, like other things he's done where he's had to use his British accent in roles, or his normal speaking voice, I guess you would say. But he messes around with it in certain roles. So when you see him, even in Peaky Blinders, the way he does his accent is completely different than his actual speaking voice. So when you listen to it, it might blow your mind to see how he can convey a little more of a posh appearance. And by the way, Daniel Craig was a very brutal Bond, a very brutish Bond. He was not brute, B-R-U-T, not B-R-O-O-D. He was brutish in his portrayal of Bond. So I think this is the path they want to go down because that's more realistic to the Bond that was written by Ian Fleming. So, but I take your point. Let's see. Andrew G said, I'm not sure about Hardy as Bond, but it could be very interesting and a new take, just like how Craig was. My top pick would be Richard Madden. When watching Bodyguard on Netflix, I just kept saying he's him. He's Bond. He was and would be tremendous. Yeah, Alex, have you seen Bodyguard on Netflix? And what do you think of Richard Madden, a.k.a. Rob Stark, as James Bond?
I have not seen The Bodyguard. I've heard nothing but great things. Richard Madden, he's pretty great. I haven't seen him in anything that I haven't liked. But if we're gonna have him in the conversation, I do think Richard Madden, but also Kit Harington would be great in the conversation as well. As a very young Bond, possibly as a trainee, getting his first assignment or something along those lines. I do think they both have that. Both have the ability to grow some very lovely facial hair. So, but they both are slightly like baby faces, to be completely honest. As they are, I do recognize they're in their late 20s, early 30s, I want to say, but that I do know that's still very, very young by Bond standards.
Yeah. True. One Andrew G also threw in this one. He said, just rewatched Fifth Element last night. Love it. There you go.
So good.
I love that picture of your cat there, Andrew. That's so awesome in the profile picture. That's so great.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to show my cat and just be like, do that, but she just ended up walking around me instead of close to me. So I was like, fine, whatever. Cat.
Fine. All right. John Doe sent in one here. He said, so with theaters relying on blockbusters and Tenet failing, and movies being constantly pushed back and spikes popping up in place that seem to have controlled COVID, for example, the UK, do you see theaters remaining open? Because eventually it will cost more to stay open. Well, here's what I say. I don't, how can I say this correctly? I think it's going to depend state by state, and for many reasons. And I don't want to get too political, but some states are very adamant about opening everything, and they're following the lead of a certain somebody who keeps crowing about everything should be open because that certain somebody wants to get reelected and wants to ignore that people are dying and getting and catching this thing. So I think state by state it will be different. Even here in California, slowly but surely, the theaters are starting to open all around LA, not in LA, but all around LA. In fact, Irvine just opened up their IMAX this past week, so people have started going to see Tenet there to catch it before it goes, because it's probably going to go very soon. So I think it all just depends state by state here in the country. Now, outside the country, in different other countries, I don't know what's going to happen, because like the UK might be shutting down all over again, apparently, because they're spiking again like crazy. Because people aren't paying attention. People think they're untouchable. People are not wearing masks. People think they're cool. Then they're going to these barbecues, going to these parties, and guess what? 20 y'all are getting COVID. So it's just frustrating and ridiculous how this, if we all just kind of agreed to wear masks like you agree to wear pants or shorts when you leave the house, we'd be, or a skirt, we'd be okay. But unfortunately, people want to make a huge deal out of this. And sadly, I think eventually it will shut down all over again, and we will get movies pushed and pushed and pushed until this is done. And according to Fauci, it won't be done until next year, late next year, which, of course, is the last thing a certain party wants to hear because they want to get reelected into power. But it's the truth. Anyway, Alex, what do you think? Do you think we're going to be shutting down anytime? Do you think we're going to keep being shut down, or do you think we're just going to open it all wide open again?
I do think we're going to keep being shut down, honestly, for quite a bit longer, unfortunately. Just like anyone, there's a lot of things I miss about, doing out in the open. I miss going to my gym.
Yeah.
I miss actually sitting down to eat around people, around friends and family. I miss going to family gatherings and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think it just comes down to, priorities. I mean, it's just like, is it a right for you to see this movie or have the risk again? Or, also, you got to be realistic as far as like, what is the situation at said business? Yeah. A lot of businesses are doing their best to accommodate, and obviously with the pandemic, do more stuff where it's like delivery or where they can or a cleaner establishment to make it more comfortable for you to go in, so I also want to give them every benefit of the doubt. Like I said, I personally would be very comfortable going to a theater. Mm-hmm. Now, I know it's person to person, but I also know here in St. Louis, everyone's wearing masks. Everyone is. Yeah. I know that's not the case every city, and I know it's not the case every state. So it's, it's different for everyone. And it just kind of depends on you individually. I mean, are you personally going to be wearing a mask? What's your situation? Right. So it's, also, I personally, I don't feel comfortable. I have a hard time telling someone else what they need to do, because it is just a personal situation. If your priority is to have this experience, go through business like normal, because it is also healthy for you mentally, psychologically, I totally understand that. Or maybe if it is more of a priority for you health-wise, to wear a mask, obviously you need to, I feel like you need to wear a mask, but, I can't tell everyone what they need to do, because that is technically their own decision.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, and I hear that, and I absolutely hear that. I think certain decisions you can make won't harm people, and then other decisions you make might harm people. And so those are the things that you have to balance for yourself. And you're right, Alex, it is everyone's personal decision. And this is certainly businesses have a right to tell you, if you want to come into their establishments, this is what you need to do. And because that's a private business. And so if you don't do that, guess what? You don't get served. And that's only fair as well, because that's their choice about what they want to do with their business, just like it's your choice what you want to do with your body. So that you got to respect both sides if you're going to do it. All right. And let's move on to our next question here. We got a lot of them coming through today. Thank you all so much for these incredible Streamlabs. Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. I love answering questions, and Alex does as well, I imagine. Jim Sandelin, thank you so much for the donation. Very kind donation. He said, just wanted to donate some love today. Day off and get to watch live. Going to San Diego this weekend, and then starting a new job job on Monday. Hashtag Baba Booey. Nice, Jim. Congratulations on the new job. Hope you enjoy San Diego. I will be enjoying it a lot. I have a feeling down there. It's scary to think about. It's scary to kind of uproot myself after 20 years of being in a city and starting a little bit over again in San Diego. But everything I do is virtual now and works well. So for me, I want to go to a place where I can just kind of relax and not have the hustle and bustle of LA, and also some of the I don't know, tougher aspects of the city have kind of just already overwhelmed me. And we just transferred some things over, and we're going to be paying a lot less for insurance, a lot less for a lot of other things. So for us, it's a smart move financially to make that move as well. So I hope you have a good time in San Diego, and congratulations on the new job, Jim. Anything you want to say?
Oh, it's San Diego, a whale's vagina. I can't help it.
I don't think that's what it means, Ron. I don't think that's
what? It's actually Spanish. Okay. It means saint. Yeah, that's the way it goes. A whale's vagina. It's from some ancient language that was lost in time, but I have it on good authority. It means a vagina.
I don't think
can't help it. Every time
that's Spanish.
What? What? Are you kidding? I feel bad every time I think of San Diego. For a split second, my mind goes to that one scene. For a split second, I can't help it. It's so funny. Yeah. It's such a great scene. I hope you do. I hope upon moving to San Diego, that you do like a top 10 movies set in San Diego. Honestly, that would be because of that. Yeah. I would love to see that happen. That would be so funny. But overall, it's gonna be adventure. I mean, like if there's ever a time to do it,
feels like now's the time. Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking forward to it. And Jim, congratulations. Ben Rayner, thank you, Ben. He said, first, I would erase Lost as a show and Hook for a movie. Second, my Bond picks would be Chiwetel Ejiofor. Oh, it's a nice choice. I like Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's a damn good actor. He could be great as Bond for sure. Erase Lost as a show. Yeah, but then you'd have to be disappointed by that last season, or that ending of that last season, which a lot of people were. I wasn't, but I know a lot of people were. And Hook, certainly I could see a lot of people erasing the Hook from their memory so they could enjoy the magic of that movie for the people who like it. Again, what do you think of those choices, Alex?
Hook, I think it's a fine movie. It's not my favorite movie, but it's cool. I like it. And I've never seen Lost, to be honest. It's never something that really kind of caught my eye. I do have quite a few friends that are they love that movie overall. Yeah. But the show, but I never got into it, honestly. Okay. But I also very similarly, so I feel the same way about like Game of Thrones, for example. Awesome show overall, but the last season.
Yeah.
A season and a half, 2 seasons. Ugh. So I definitely see where you're coming from. It's it sucks.
TV show for me would have to be the first season of NYPD Blue, and then the entire run of Deadwood. To be able to rewatch that all over again, having it erased from my memory would be incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Wait, Rocha, do you like Westerns? Do you like Westerns? Wait, do you like Western? Like what's the that? Genre. Do you like Western, like the genre?
What's that? Yes, I think I like Western.
It's crazy. I had no idea.
I love Deadwood.
Yeah. One of my favorite because I love I would say, I know it's not technically a Western, but it's Western inspired. Also another movie I would love to see is for the first time again is probably the sci-fi Western Westworld.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie. I was so surprised seeing it with Yul Brynner. I had no idea what to expect going into it. Yeah. And literally no idea. And then I was just like, I thought I would have my phone on me the entire time being bored. No, I was like popcorn the entire time. It was so great. It was great.
I was really happy when they asked us that question in the Alex Collins match. I was like, Westworld. Yeah, finally it came up in a match that I was in. So it was pretty cool. Andrew Ved, he says, is Rocha going to sign off every mornings with the Outlaw with Stay Classy San Diego?
Oh, my golly, I hope so. Oh, You've got to do that at least once. At least once.
San Diego, you can go F yourself. What? What did you say? Poop mouth?
It's like,
all right.
boop, boop,
boop, boop, boop. Ron. Anyway, all right. Andrew G said, given how Tenet only made so much with limited seats in theaters and Wonder Woman 1984 moving again, are we going to end up seeing Dune next summer, or will I be able to experience this for Christmas? No, I think Dune's going. I mean, what RB3 said yesterday about going to see Tenet in the drive-in. He said they should not release Dune that way. And I think Dune would have to be released that way in the bigger cities. And then maybe some of these other cities that are spiking now and have to start shutting down again. So I think Dune is absolutely getting pushed till next year. What do you think, Alex? Do you think we'll see it this in December, or do you think it'll push till next year in the summer maybe?
I think it's going to be pushed. I think Black Widow is going to be pushed. I think a lot of movies are going to be pushed, to be completely honest. Again, Dune is one of my most anticipated movies of the year, of the season in general. A lot of these movies, Black Widow, I was like, cool. Wonder Woman, I'm like, yes, in theater. But Dune.
Dune would be good.
I will pay $50 for a ticket. I will pay $50 for a ticket to see that in theater. I'm not exaggerating. I will.
Yeah. Dune looks great.
I love me some sci-fi epics. I just love epics in general. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here. We've got almost 250 y'all watching us live, but only 77 likes. Come on, people. Let's get those likes up there. Hit that thumbs up button. Get us to at least 150 likes. If you can't get us to 200 likes, I'd love for you to get us to 200 likes. So if you're listening to my voice right now, just move that mouse over there or the cursor over, hit that thumbs up button. Get us to 200 likes as quickly as possible, at least to 150. So please give us some likes here as we're wrapping up the show in the next, surprisingly, in the next 24 minutes. So insane how quickly one subject has caused a lot of conversation and the great Streamlabs. So keep sending them in. Alex, this is where we have to break to talk about our stuff, and then we'll get into our last news item, which you'll be presenting. So I booked 4 more, but time is time. So what have you got going on, Alex? Promote some stuff here.
Guys, I have several big things coming up soon. I'm super excited about. Oh my gosh. Tonight I'm going to be watching the movie today, My Cousin Vinny, for the very first time. Nice. And we're going to be covering it tonight on Cinema Bias. So I cannot wait. Next week, we're going to be covering To Catch a Thief, Alfred To Catch a Thief with Grace Kelly. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to dive into that one. It's a beautiful movie. But later this week, I created this whole thing called Less General Standing over at C2A, and I'm very proud of it. I'm writing all the questions and everything myself. It's pretty much a free-for-all style battle royale situation on movie trivia. So it's going to be really, really fun. I would love if you definitely come and stop by. People that are going to be involved. Parodies is actually going to be one of the people in general that's going to be competing. So it's really awesome. But the people that are competing, there's like 25 people that are competing right now. They're all people that are general in the action army and action industries, and so they're awesome people. We love them all so much. So it's going to be this Friday at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. So it's going to be a fun time, I promise.
Okay, there you go. And that's everything going on, right, Alex?
Yeah, we have Schmobeats coming in next week with the usual suspects.
Cool.
Yeah, so
who have you lined up for that one? Is that can you say yet or no?
I have Janine as my co-host. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to secure Sam, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sam is tough to get. Sam is
to get. Sam is true. Sure.
That guy, he's got so much going on.
He's a busy fella.
He is a busy fella. He's a busy little fella. And I was joking. All right, let's move on to the stuff I got going. Yeah, it's our little battle we have all the time. The stuff I've got going on here at the Outlaw Nation. Yesterday, we had a brand new episode of Game Time right there with Jay Washington and Winston Marshall. If you haven't listened to that or watched that, please do so. We had a blast yesterday. A lot of fun talking all the stuff going on in the week 2 of the NFL, and also a little bit about the Lakers and that Anthony Davis last second 3-pointer that won them the game. Today is a new episode of the Top 10 we dropped this morning. You can listen to it. Top 10 movies from 1982. That's right, 1982. The movie, the year that has been the bane of my existence, with Tootsie and The Thing coming out, and both of those coming out in 1982, and both of those movies costing me matches in the Schmodown. So I thought we'd revisit that year, and Matt was down to do it. We had a really great time. That actually was surprisingly damn good year for movies. So it was very fun to revisit all those films and count them down. So don't miss that. That's available right now, either on the Top 10 YouTube channel or on the podcast feed. Also, we had a new episode of The Golden Ticket, which is part of the Top 10 as well. That dropped yesterday. So if you haven't watched that, had Andy Tan, Jonathan Caro, and another one of our patrons competing in The Golden Ticket, which is our Jeopardy style competition show. Trust me, you love it. Go and watch it there on the Top 10 YouTube channel, or listen to it on the Top 10 podcast feed. And then tonight, don't forget, tonight with an Outlaw Nation show, Winston A. Marshall is going to be my guest tonight on the Outlaw Nation show. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, get into his career as it's starting to kind of take off, and of course, how his year has completely changed from January 1st to now, how people have completely turned around on him as a manager, as a Schmodown personality, and as just a general overall awesome person to have in the community. So it's going to be a really great time hanging out with Winston. And we're going to get crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of jokes. So come in, ready to hang out with us tonight. That one's a special start time of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. PT tonight. So come and join us tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun there. I think that's everything we got going on so far here on the Outlaw Nation channel. So that's that. Let me go back to our brand there. There we go. All right. And hit our chat here that we had. We had a comment here from Leech96. He sent in some money. Thank you, Leech. Appreciate it. He said, what a signing Thiago is for the Mighty Reds, and Jota from Wolves. That was out of nowhere. Also, Rocha, love the new Liverpool training top you're wearing, sir. Yes. What is your predictions for the league? Yeah, I'm very proud of this. My friend's wife works for Nike. So now that Nike is doing all the Liverpool gear, I get a little bit of a discount on some of the stuff. So, and I've been told not to buy a jersey because Christmas is coming and I may have a present in the mail from them, which is very kind. I'm happy about the Thiago signing. He already broke the pass record in one game. Incredible. Jota's going to be great because Minamino is not going to get it done as our striker, a backup striker rather. So I'm glad to get him involved. Plus, he's a tougher striker. So I like he's going to be bashing into the defenses. And predictions for the league, I think we're still the odds-on favorite to win it. I think Man City will be there at the end as well. Arsenal will be there. If Chelsea gets their players back and they stay healthy, Chelsea would be something to deal with if they can kind of fix their goalkeeper's mind and fix their defense. But don't count out Leicester City. I think Brendan Rodgers has that crew ready to go, and they did some good bit of business here in the transfer window. So that's my thoughts on the Premier League. All right. Do we have any more Streamlabs that have come through? Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot to mention my boy Jonathan I think he's in your golden ticket, right?
Jonathan Caro? Yeah.
Yeah, he's also a general. He's gonna be competing in Leicester and Standing, but he's also a competitor I train. So I'm like, if he did well, I'm very proud. I don't know, but if he did well, I hope so. I hope so. Now I'm nervous.
All right, we got two more Streamlabs, Alex. Then we'll get into this last news item before we jump into. No, I'm sorry, we got three more that just came through. All right, John Doe says, so my last question was a little hard, so let's have fun. Who wins? Daniel Craig, James Bond versus Ethan Hunt, Mission Impossible, fight to the death. What do you say there, Alex? Who wins?
Why are you trying to start up something? Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's Ethan Hunt, James Bond, and who else?
Yeah, Daniel Craig's version of James Bond versus Ethan Hunt's Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt in a fight to the death.
Oh gosh, that's just mean.
Yeah, it's a great fight. That's a great fight.
Oh no, I don't want that. I don't want them either to die. Daniel Craig, probably.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think he's just like a much more brutal fighter, obviously. But Ethan Hunt is, I think, obviously he's a great fighter and everything. It's just we've seen him. We haven't really seen him as much in like hand-to-hand combat as much by comparison.
Right.
And when he does fight, it's amazing, obviously. Yeah. But we don't see him do it as much compared to someone like Bond. We see him fight in like every other scene, and he's like brutal. So I do think, because of a scrappy nature, I think he can get away with winning.
I think so too, because Ethan always seems to be caught out most of the time. by these people he fights in these movies, that they seem to have the upper hand for most of the fight, then he kind of gets over on them eventually. I think with Daniel Craig, he won't allow Ethan Hunt to come back into the fight. Once he gets the advantage, he'll just kind of finish him out. So I would go with Daniel Craig's James Bond as well. Cinema Gorilla donated, said, I went to that Star Wars drive-in at the Rose Bowl and felt so claustrophobic. I'm personally team Apple TV streaming device where I will gladly pay. I've lived enough cinematic experiences. Nothing will top my early film school days of The Dark Knight and Watchmen on IMAX. Yeah, I totally get it, dude. Yeah, I'm sure it was claustrophobic at the Rose Bowl. That would have driven me nuts. I know there were some people not wearing masks and what have you. So I would not have been down with that, for God's sake. So I hear you. And I'm like, I want to go see Tenet in the theater, but then again, if I really wanted to, I would have pushed to go, but at this point in my mind, I'm like, do I want to risk it? So it doesn't seem the right thing to do. Is that one of your cats, or is that? Oh my God,
that's my cat. That's my cat.
Awesome.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
No, don't sweat it.
He's fed. He has. I just want to clarify, guys. I'm not starving my cats or anything. They're not lacking. Before we started recording, I checked his food bowl, his water bowl. He's good to go. He's just like, attention, love me. Oh my gosh, attention. And he sees me giving y'all attention, so he's like, "What? I like it. I like it. Me attention."
Let's see here. Oh, wait, Andrew G. Has anybody seen The Devil All the Time on Netflix yet? No, I haven't seen that. It's the Tom Holland one. No. I was very pleased to see Tom Holland take on a serious part like that, given how light and fun his Spider-Man is. I think he's going to become one of the greats one day. Yeah. Have you seen this, Alex, or no?
I just saw it yesterday for the first time. Wow. Robert Pattinson is in it. Jason Clarke, Riley Keough's in it. I can't remember her name, but she was in Little Women. She was the sister that died. Oh, the one that gets sick all the time? Yeah. I can't remember her name, but she hasn't been in much, honestly. Yeah. So, but I think it's a pretty solid movie. It's a very great drama. I do think it's a little heavy-handed at some points, but I really did enjoy it, for considering it's like a Southern 60s, 70s drama kind of situation. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And also Pattinson, that's weird Southern drawl that he has. I was so here for it. Right on. All right, we're about to jump into the last news item, and we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. Please hit that like button. We've only gotten to 111 likes. That is 240 y'all watching us right now. So please hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button, get us above 150 before we wrap this up. If we can't get to 200, at least let's get above 150. All right, Alex, take it away. What have we got? Yes, guys, I'm sure you've heard of a little movie called Black Widow, right? Crazy, I know. So technically it's apparently still coming out in November. How it's happening, I'm not sure. But, one of the big things that we're learning about this movie is that the introduction of this brand new character played by Florence Pugh, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, obviously we know her from Little Women, Midsommar, Fighting with My Family. She's fantastic. But her role within, the MCU and Black Widow in particular is still very much unknown. And people have asked Pugh whether or not she's going to take on the Black Widow mantle from now on in potential future MCU movies and all that. She has pretty much, said from the get-go, if you asked me to be in a Marvel film and it was so thrilling and fun, excited to be in, then of course your head goes, oh my gosh, this is what it's like. Then what else is next? If that's what happens, and I am lucky enough that people associate my character, that's an exciting road to go on. I would be silly not to be excited about it. But I think part of being part of the Marvel Club is a great honor, but we'll see if people like Yelena first. Kate Shorthand, also the director of Black Marvel, obviously, she's also went on to really kind of talk about the themes of this movie overall as well. This film is about the abuse of women. It's about how they get involuntary hysterectomies at the age of 8. It's about how girls are stolen from around the world. It's so painful and important. Part of the excitement for me is that girls and women from around the world is going to see this and are going to see the abuse story that really was challenged by its own victims. For a Marvel film that's reaching all those levels, it's so exciting. The best thing is that it's not layered with this color of gray. You'll see these women strive and be strong, and they're assassins. And yet they still needed to discuss how they're abused. It's an incredibly powerful piece. So we've talked about, when it comes to, this movie, we talked about the action, the adventure, how beautiful it looks, but we haven't really talked about a lot of the darker themes that was kind of alluded to in, the Avengers, when it was directed by, was it Joss Whedon?
Oh, Joss Whedon?
No. Yeah, I remember.
Which one? The first one? The first two?
I can't remember. I feel awful. I can't remember. I don't think it was Joss Whedon, to think about it. But they kind of alluded to Natasha Romanoff's history a little bit.
It was in Age of Ultron. That was Joss Whedon.
Okay, it was Age of Ultron. Yeah. Okay. But it was kind of alluded to her past, being an assassin and being a double, triple, quadruple agent kind of situation. And, it's been insinuated that's a very similar situation with the Yelena's character. Now, we haven't really talked all that much about, potential abuse or anything along those lines as well, in this kind of movie, especially being an MCU Marvel film. That's a lot of dark themes to take on. What do you think about some of those comments by Kate?
Well, I'll say this. I didn't know that was going to be an aspect of the film, so it was really nice that she revealed that. I think nowadays we've been seeing, we're just on the heels. I mean, what Doreen and I talked about on this past episode of Impolite Truth last week, when we found out about these hysterectomies that are going on against these detainees' wishes and knowledge at times. You see this happening in, countries that are overtly trying to destroy the immigrant population, or trying to control people, and trying to control women and stop them from being able to give birth. So what she's talking about here is this idea of removing this from them at a very young age, so that there's not this impulse necessarily to have children or whatever. So they'll control them to become these assassins. So it's basically about removing the free will so you can be controlled by the state. And that is something they're exploring from the female point of view. So that excites me a lot. Certainly Scarlett Johansson, who takes, at times deservedly, a lot of crap for her taking on these roles that are supposed to be for other people of heritage or race or whatever. So, but also she's a very strong activist in the things that she believes in. So to have her be a part of this, I think she was probably a driving force to have that be a part of the story as well. And then having Florence Pugh step in, who's no slouch about speaking her mind on social media. And I appreciate and love that. It's a good combo of people stepping in. And Rachel Weisz, another strong, determined woman who has played these roles that have really kind of broken the stereotypes of what females can play, but also expose some of these darker storylines that women have been involved in. Certainly the Constant Gardener is one of those as well. So this is a very strong trio of ladies to bring this to life. So having Kate speak about it excites me even more, because I want to see how deep this goes. It sounds like it's not just going to be a cookie cutter action film, Alex. This is going to be something more. And we just recently watched Black Panther, because we're doing it for the Cinephiles with Jay and Winston. It's a deeper film than people think. And I think the Black Widow is going to be in the same vein, a deeper film than people are expecting. Yes, the trailers have shown all the fight scenes and all the stuff in the air and action sequences, but judging from Kate's comments, it's going to be a little bit more of a little more of a personal, emotional journey that we go on with Natasha and with Florence Pugh's character. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I do think it's going to be not only just much more personal, much more personable, darker story that we're kind of led on, but, the story of Yelena, it's really going to be an interesting story that we see for the first time. We haven't really seen her in any film before. And this is her first one from, I think. But Black Widow, we know so little about her. And the reason is because she's an assassin. You're not supposed to know anything about her. If you do know about her, she's doing a bad job, and she has to work that much. And the thing is, it's kind of interesting to say, whereas she's the only female Avenger, she's also, that we've seen in the films, obviously, outside of WandaVision. I'm sorry, not WandaVision. Sorry, Wanda. Stromanoff, obviously. But also, she has to work so much harder to fight bad guys. How to think on her feet, because she doesn't have those powers or anything to fall back on. Versus Thor or Wanda or Hulk or anything. So she, there's definitely a lot of those skills that she has. That no one else has. Not to mention, she's also really great at manipulation. If you do not remember that scene in Avengers with Loki, She didn't know what she was doing. Okay. So do you remember? She's a master manipulator. She was made to be so by the Russian government.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see how she became who she was.
Yeah.
And how she's kind of evolving from that as well.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it too. Can't wait to see what we get from her. All right. Maybe we have time for one more news item here. And this is from Alden Ehrenreich. He has finally broken his silence on the Solo, a Star Wars story situation. The film was the second planned Star Wars story spinoff. It made about $393.2 million worldwide. Usually not a bad number for most movies, but for a Star Wars film, pretty much a strong disappointment. Remember that Lord Miller were doing it first, and then Ron Howard took over. They reshot most of the movie, recast some of the characters, actors, and we're done. Ehrenreich was speaking to Total Film because he's got a new project coming out right now. He's going to be doing Brave New World, that sci-fi classic, which will be on Peacock, the NBC streaming network. But he's talking to Total Film. He said, Solo didn't do as well as other Star Wars movies, but it still did well for a movie. And so it was kind of this medium thing, but that's not newsworthy. Even at high-level journalism, there's an intense pressure sometimes, it feels like, to either catastrophize or celebrate. I think that's really effing dangerous, especially when it pertains to the stuff that really matters, like the state of the world. An article headline that says, things are complicated and there are good sides and bad sides, isn't getting the emotional response. And I just think we really have to take a step back and give a lot more thought to the way our emotions are being run by the stories we're getting inundated with. So, Alex, what do you think about his comments here about journalism, about film journalism, and about how Solo was received or perceived to be received by the Star Wars community?
I definitely have a lot of mixed feelings. I don't think it's right to attack a field because you don't like the way it reacted. But at the same time, I understand that when journalists and critics and things like that are taken to a press junket, they're to a certain degree they're paid to experience a certain thing. If you're being flown out to Hawaii to see a new Jurassic Park movie, they want you to experience Hawaii and its majesticness, and chances are you might add a lot of that, being like, man, it's so beautiful and it's blah blah blah. You might tie that into your criticism of the movie itself. It's hard, just like that's why a lot of press junkets are held internationally, overall. So now the thing is, I do think that this movie was set up to be a failure as well. Obviously, the movie cost over $300 to make. There's so much drama behind the scenes. I felt so bad for Ehrenreich over as a whole. I can't imagine how the hate he must have received on such a large scale, from not only Star Wars fans, just from movie critics in general. Just because he was doing a new interpretation of Han Solo, one of the most iconic characters in cinema. So no matter who you cast in that role, he was not going to walk out in a good situation. It's just, he was set up for failure from the get-go, from all sides.
Yeah, it seems like, there was a lot of, because when it was announced, I think they expected everybody to be excited about it. And a lot of people weren't. I remember Mark Ellis being one of the most vocal ones in our sphere saying, I don't need a prequel Solo movie. I don't want a prequel Solo movie. And I thought he was the anomaly, but no, it seems like there were a lot of people who didn't want a prequel Solo movie. And then when it came out, and then when there were issues with the production with Lord Miller, and by the way, I think that's one of the colossal mistakes that you can point to with Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think she's made a lot of mistakes in my opinion, but I think that's one you can definitely point to and say, you should have just stayed the course with Lord Miller. Nothing they've released has ever not hit the mark. So this was going to be the one that didn't. So I think maybe she didn't get it or maybe didn't understand what they were trying to do with it. And I wonder if maybe just staying with Lord Miller would have produced a way better film, a way more interesting film, a way more nuanced film. But maybe the reaction to Rian Johnson's take on it kind of shocked them a little bit. So maybe they were gun shy about going with another unique voice in the world of Star Wars. And so they brought in someone, easy like Ron Howard, who delivers certainly good films and good and sometimes quality films. So that kind of steered the ship, but they reshot some stuff. They recast the black actor and brought in a white actor instead. not a good look nowadays. And so they did all of that. And in the end, it wasn't that good of a film. Some people really like it. It's certainly a decent film. It's not bad at all, in my opinion.
It's a fun film.
It's a fun film. Certainly.
It's fun.
Certainly.
It's fun.
Yeah, for what it was. But already people were bashing Alden and stuff. So I get what he's talking about, though, that sometimes film journalism, and certainly I've seen it recently in some sites who put up clickbaity headlines to get attention, or who I've certainly worked for a site where there have been desperate conversations and meetings about how do we get more people to click on our articles or to click on our videos? How do we sensationalize it? That's part of it, unfortunately. When you're at a big site, you got to get those clicks to stay alive, to keep the ads coming in, to keep people employed. And so it's a weird catch-22 that you're in between a rock and a hard place. So I get what Alden is saying, but I also think there's no way out of that now. It's how the public is built to respond to things nowadays. And so as much as there may be a strong minority of people who don't like the way it's built, you can't argue the results, because if they weren't clicking on those videos and weren't clicking on those clickbaity news articles, then they wouldn't be doing them. So if they're still coming, it's because people are clicking on them in massive numbers. And so it makes sense to do it that way. Whether you like it or not, that's the truth of the situation. And I respect Alden's point of view, absolutely. But in the end, it's pushing a huge boulder up the hill. It's really just you and a few other people trying to do that. And sadly, you might not get to the top. So that's just my personal opinion about it. Yeah.
It's he's just in a really sticky situation. And I understand 100% his point of view. Again, I can't imagine the backlash he received, because a lot of people pinpointed him as the reason why the movie failed, and that's not the reason.
Right.
But it's easy to point fingers. It's easy to point fingers versus Kathleen Kennedy or Ron Howard, who's won Oscars for his movies. Right. It's very easy to be like that guy that reprised our favorite character of all time, Han Solo. Right. It's really kind of easy to put him in that kind of horrible circumstances. I do hope that we do see more roles from it. For what he was given, I did like him in that role. And so I don't want him to reprise the role, obviously, but I did like what he did with it. I really enjoyed it. And I like that he didn't try to do it like a surefire imitation, but he just did another interpretation of that character overall. So,
absolutely. One last thing. We're going to wrap up here in the next 4 minutes, but I put it on the thumbnail, so I got to say it real quick. Shout out to Watchmen and their incredible job at the Emmys. They were nominated for 26 awards that night, won 11 Emmys in total, including Regina King for Best Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, Yahya Abdul-Mateen for Best Supporting Actor, Cord Jefferson and Damon Lindelof for Best Writing, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Best Music Composition for Limited Series, movie or special, Gregory Middleton for Best Cinematography for a Limited Series or Movie, and Victoria Thomas and Megan Lewis for Best Casting for a Limited Series, and Sharon Davis and Valerie Zelenka for Best Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes. They might have won more awards, Alex, except in a lot of those categories, they were in competition with each other. With the director category, there were 3 separate directors nominated from the Watchmen series. So maybe they canceled each other out and other directors stepped in and kind of won it in that default way. But you got to give a lot of love to what they did. And shout out to Regina King, who was, of course, very proudly there displaying a Breonna Taylor shirt. And, of course, a number of powerful messages about racism, about the history of racism in this country were revealed and explored in this series of Watchmen. That was very important. If you haven't watched it yet, we're in a lockdown. Don't complain about new content if you're not going to give extremely awesome content that is relatively new a watch. You got to give Watchmen a watch. Take your time through it. Really analyze it. Enjoy it. Savor it. It deserves all the Emmys that it's won. Don't you think, Alex?
Yeah, I personally have not seen it, honestly, so I feel bad.
Oh, Alex, get into it. Alex.
Yeah,
put it on the list.
I'm kind of scared to see it because I didn't really care all that much for the movie. And
it's got nothing to do with the movie.
I know. It's just it's just like a lot of sci-fi dramas. I'm always hesitant in watching. I'm always scared to watch it. I don't know. It's just it feels like it feels like a lot to dive into, and it's scary. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense, but I will watch it at some point. but also credit to Schitt's Creek as well.
Yes,
for also sweeping the Emmys as well. They actually got all of the acting awards. They received like best supporting actress, actor, best lead actor, and actress in a comedy series. But yeah, it was like the first time it's ever happened in Emmy history.
Yeah.
So, that's a show also. If you haven't seen that one's awesome. I definitely recommend it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I've got to get back. We tried watching the first season, and the first 3 episodes we were turned off completely by it. So maybe at some point we'll come back to it and maybe start. A lot of people say start at the second season, and it really kicks into gear in the second season. So maybe. But sure. And one last thing for Watchmen. It's the first comic book adaptation that has taken home the top prize at the annual celebration of television's work. So shout out to Watchmen, which won Best Limited Series amongst one of its 11 Emmys there. So great work by them. Lindelof still not coming back to do a second season, and kudos to him. I mean, once you knock it out of the park like this, it's tough. There's been no sequel to Citizen Kane. There was a sequel to The Godfather, but like it was just as good, but they shouldn't have done a third one. So, once you create something really, really great, doing a sequel to it can be very difficult, especially when it's a limited run. You know what I'm saying? I thought Fosse Verdon was one of the greatest things I've seen in the last 20 years in terms of limited series. And if they ever did a sequel to that, I'd be super pissed because it was so great. So sometimes things are just meant to exist as a one-off, and you're meant to savor them and enjoy them and revisit them when you get a chance. And Alex, whenever you get a chance, and I get it, it can feel by the acclaim and the hoopla and the issues that are being tackled in this show that it can feel a bit overwhelming to take on. But if you take it one episode at a time, trust me, I think you're going to really enjoy it and enjoy what it reveals to you and the way it, causes you to think about things and kind of explore things in that world. So, but of course, come to it when you're ready to come to it. I think that's the best thing too.
It's just one of those things where everything's been spoiled for me.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah. So everything's been spoiled for me. So that takes, me watching it, my excitement, I was super excited to watch it, but a lot of it kind of went away because so many things were spoiled for me and big reveals and things like that. So it's just like, but as a result, it's kind of on the wayside,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right, well, we should wrap up here. Thank you all so much for watching another live episode of Mornings with the Outlaw on this Tuesday morning. We had a great show. I was worried because I barely had any sleep last night, but the adrenaline kicked in, and of course, doing it with Alex is always fun. She picks up the show. She livens up the show, which I totally appreciate. Thank you all. We got about 132 likes. Let's get to 150 at least. Got 228 of y'all still watching us right now. Please hit that thumbs up and get us to 150 as we wrap up the show. All right, Alex, one last thing. Where can they find you again? Where can they find everything you got going on?
You can find me being part of the Call to Action podcast. Please give it a like or subscribe. You can check it out right. If I can find it, that'd be great. If I can find it, it's right here.
Boom.
This one. You can find it anywhere podcasts are found, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. So please check it out if you can. And I'm part of that. I'm part of Schmobates. It is my Schmodown themed debate show. And right now I'm trying to go through all the factions and have a faction themed debate every single week. And last general standings this Friday, and so definitely come on by. And last but not least, no biases tonight at 10 o'clock Central. Video Drew and I, aka Drew Grant, are going to be covering My Cousin Vinny, arguably one of the most accurate portrayals of courtroom dramas in movie history. I say that much because I actually have a few friends that are lawyers, and they say it's like one of the best, actually, from a lawyer's perspective, one of the best courtroom dramas ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I was like, My Cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci? Really? But they were like, yeah, it's actually the most accurate.
You think I'm hostile now?
You think I'm hostile? Let me tell you why. I know cause. Okay, my brother's a cop. My father's a cop. My uncle's a cop. I'm not a cop, but I'd say I know cause. Okay, all right. Let me tell you, do I know cause?
That's one of my mother's favorite films. One of my mother's favorite. We watch it every time I come home. It's so good. Did you say Utes? All right, yeah, definitely patronize Alex at everything she does. Go and watch it. Go and follow her on all her social media channels, and definitely that Call to Action podcast. Those are great people over there. They've been nothing but incredible to me and supportive to me. And shout out to Jake Yacovetta. This is my first thumbnail I did. 4 mornings with the Outlaw. Jake was very kind to send me the backgrounds and stuff. I try to, I kind of want to take a little bit. Jake's doing so much for everybody. I don't want to overwhelm him or ask too much of him. So I tried out the thumbnail. I hope you all enjoy that. And, I'll be doing some more of these. And I got to get the practice anyway, because if I'm going to start doing my own videos, I really want to create my own thumbnails for those videos as well. I need to learn. An old dog's got to learn the new tricks. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And please subscribe to the channel down below. We're so close to crossing 14,000 subscribers. Would like to get past that mark and then start heading towards 15,000 and then 20,000 eventually as well. So come aboard this Outlaw Nation train. Really appreciate it. And do us a favor, share the show, share the channel with all your friends. Tell them about it. Tell them to get aboard and watch all the stuff we got going on here. We got to build this channel up. We got to get more people subscribed to this channel so it can have a little more cachet, a little more strength in the punditry world, in this sphere, so that I can start doing more stuff like interviewing higher level actors, interviewing high level producers, getting great content for you all to enjoy, great conversations for you all to enjoy. So maybe you can't donate, maybe you can't be a patron, which you can be right above my head there, patreon.com/John Rocha, but you can help by getting other people to subscribe to the channel and sign up for that channel and support us in that way and get us to the point where I can say, hey, Warner Brothers, I got 20,000 subscribers. I like to have a conversation with Zack Snyder. I like to have a conversation with Ben Affleck. So you got to have cachet in this business, and the outlet is building. We got to get it to 20,000 so I can do that. So thank you all so much for coming aboard the train so far, and let's keep going to where we need to go. And if you're a patron, don't forget, today is the special 12 p.m. hangout on the Discord for my international patrons as well, putting it at a time where you guys can come aboard and hang out with me for an hour. So go to the Discord at 12. We'll hang out for an hour talking about whatever you all want to talk about. So hopefully you can join me. All right, that's it, Alex. I'm tired of talking. 10 a.m. SEN Live. Go in 4 minutes. Go hang out with Christian and the crew over there. They're going to have a lot of fun for sure. Thank you to Alex Shashek. Thank you to all of you all. And we'll talk to you next time on another live episode of Mornings with the Outlaw. That's Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. What do we got to tell them, Alex?
Wear your dang mask.